very fun story as to what the picture he was given of her. There was this small booklet that that had come out about educating about diamonds and all of that. And my mom's picture was there, a small picture of her behind. So that is the booklet that was given to him, saying this is the girl you're going to be. And he still has that picture in his wallet.
From timeless values to passing on, obsessions about gemstones.
And now GIA has changed that. On into the phenomenal.
Don't worry, ma'am. She will come back to diamond later.
GIA seems to be stronger than the legacy. GIA is the legacy now.
Correct. Yeah, GIA.
I think it's that freedom, it's that belief that really matters in the family business. For me as a kid, the jewelry that, I used to draw a lot of jewelry. And my mom, like every birthday, they would pick my design and make a jewelry out of it for me. So every birthday, I have one jewelry that I designed made for me. That was another kind of encouragement that they would give me, saying, hey, your designs are so nice and we can make them into a nice piece. Right? So I think at every step of the way, they've been very encouraging and also very accommodative to any kind of view I bring to the table.
So in terms of challenges, when we started to manufacture in Chennai, the biggest challenge that we faced was to get a good craftsman into Chennai. We were not able to get good craftsmen into Chennai. They were always looking forward to go either to Bombay or to Calcutta or to Surat and work there. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the next edition of GIA's Knowledge Series episode of April month. We have titled it, the theme of this series is Legacy of Leadership, where we try and invite guests who in themselves are epitomizing, in some way or the other, continuation of the legacy of the family. The legacy not only in terms of the jewelry related business activities that they are doing, but also of timeless values. And these values which play a significant role in continuation of the legacy. Today, on this episode, we have the awesome threesome from Chennai, and it is represented by this is Meenu Subbiah, her husband Ganeshan, and her daughter Adithi. The business was established in the year 1993 by Meenuji's father, and then she actually went over to GIA campus in the USA and got herself armed with the understanding of gemology. She returned. Eventually, she was joined by her husband, Ganeshan, who comes from the corporate world. He is a qualified mechanical engineer from the PhD Institute of Technology. Then he's worked in different businesses, the prestigious PwC in a consulting role. And thereafter, he decided to join the business. There again, somewhere on the way, felt it important to earn most credible knowledge of gemology, and he decided to join GIA. So he also studied in the Carlsbad campus. And last but not the least, their daughter Adithi, who is also a graduate in gemology from the Carlsbad campus. And the three of them are managing this business. The business has been existing for more than 30 years now. They have their flagship operation in Chennai with branches in Karaikudi, Trichy, and also Coimbatore. Their specialization is chettinad jewelry, temple jewelry, of course, diamond jewelry, with a clear emphasis also on colored gemstones. And that is a passion that all three of them bring to the table almost equivocally, and something which started by Meenuji is very well poised to continue and take longer strides, bigger strides by way of Adithi's effort. And all of this is very beautifully balanced by Ganesh in between. So I think there are three of them, who we would like all to listen to. So I don't want to take up more footage than what I've already taken. So I'll request Shiv to get started with this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you so much. And thank you, Meenu ji. Thank you, Ganeshan sir. Thank you, Aditi, for taking the time out today for the Legacy of Leadership knowledge series. And of course, the the first question that I want to start by asking is, let's understand a little bit about what got you interested in German jewelry industry. It's always said that, most superheroes sort of have a very fascinating origin story, right? So let's hear your origin stories. What got you interested in the world of gem and jewelry? And maybe also you can also talk a little bit about what sort of role has GI education played in it.
Okay. I would say hailing from Chettinad, which is very rich in culture and heritage. And our ancestors and our forefathers have traveled Far East and the Southeast Asian countries, set up businesses in Malaysia, Singapore, Burma, and Indonesia. And they were connoisseurs of art, and all those, the Burmese teak and the furnitures and the cutlery from Czechoslovakia and the Belgian glasses, that they're all brought. And architecturally, the Chettinad mansions were built with so much of beautiful things from around the world. So, not to mention about the jewelry, I've seen my mom, my aunts, and my grandmom wearing such beautiful jewelry, which was generally dominated by diamonds, and always had a little bit of Burmese rubies or Colombian emeralds or Kashmir sapphires, are very beautiful bright colors. So that was always been very fascinating for me. And every time we went for a wedding or something, I would just come back and redesign those designs that they were wearing. And that interest my dad has been noticing, something very unique. And also, every time I visited my dad's granite mine, I was very fascinated by those colored gemstones that were lying on the rocks, and which is very unnoticed, right? So I would think my fascination for gem and jewelry has been from childhood, and obviously from where I hail from. And talking about GIA, I should say, from a background where I do not have an established jewelry business, I think, and I had the interest or the passion to get into this. I think the most important thing was getting myself equipped, getting the knowledge, because jewelry is something that a consumer is going to come based on the trust, right? So I was very keen that I should be equipped with the required knowledge, and of course, GIA played the most important role there. And a very close to my heart experience when I just got back from GIA and we set up our business. Just about a couple of years later, I was invited to assist the princely jewelry, which really came as a real happy surprise to me because I was pretty young and I was still learning. And it was such a great experience to go and assist the princely jewelry, which was made hundreds of years ago with such beautiful, huge colored stones, which I literally had no opportunities to see only then. It had spinels and even tourmalines, which I had no idea about. So it was it was a great experience. And I think GIA, I totally dedicate that to GIA, where, gave me the credibility to go and assess a piece of that value.
So my answer to this will be very, very simple and precise. My father was not in the jewelry trade. He was completely in a different line of business. So I got into this jewelry industry, and my first sparkling gem was Meenu. From Meenu, so Meenu inspired me to get into the business. The day I saw Meenu in 1997 or 1998 to be precise. Okay, that was the first experience for me, opening for me into this huge industry of jewelry and gems. So that is my inspiration. And as Apurva rightly mentioned, I was a corporate guy. And after joining my family business and getting to know the initial nuances of the business, I felt that I need to possess the required academic knowledge. As Meenu rightly said, this business was always revolving around trust. So I said, I have to be academically qualified so that I can make my, whoever I interact with, to make well-informed decisions. So that is how I ended up in GIA. And I did my GIA at the Bangkok campus. So that's about me. Very simple and precise.
User. Sorry, anything. Just good. I can't resist myself. I have to make that comment where Sir acknowledged that the sparkling diamond was Meenuji in her life.
Now you know how he keeps two women happy at home. He's a pleaser.
And we'll talk later. I needed to learn a lot many things.
And if I may just add, say, the real Johari is Mr. Ganeshan.
I agree.
Gemologist. Sorry, Aditi, please continue.
No, for me, I was born into this, sparkling world of diamonds, gems, and I have grown up with the business. Like when I was born, it was one room, and I have seen the business grow across cities, across countries, and I've always seen my parents and grandparents being involved in the business. So when I was told, there were only two things I knew. I didn't know what it meant, but I knew I wanted to be a businesswoman like my mom, and I wanted to study at GI. I had no idea what that meant though, but I knew when I was two. So as I grew up, I started understanding what that actually meant and how much an education of GI would matter, because I knew I was going to make this my career. And I was, I was always fascinated. I would always sketch these pieces out. And I would always sit with my mom when she was reading, or I would be sitting in the factory looking at, what people are doing. And I was so fascinated by how a piece goes from rough into it being made into a stone, and then how the jewelry is made. And then finally, when the customer wears it, I'm there for that also. I was so fascinated by the whole process. So when I was sure I was going to make this my career, I knew my next step had to be GI education, because the professionalism and the credibility that brings, and also the technical knowledge you require to be a certain level of professionalism in this industry, GIA gives you that. And I can already see the amount of, it's only been a couple of months since I graduated, but I already see the amount of credibility that knowledge gives me. And I'm going to be forever grateful to GIA for the kind of standards they set in education in the industry.
Well, thank you so much, Aditi, and thank you so much for that beautiful comment about GIA. Meenuji, I want to ask you a little bit about Meenu Subbiah Diamonds. So, interestingly, it sort of abbreviates to MSD, and many cricket-loving fans will sort of also know what that sort of stands for. But the name aside, ma'am, can you tell us about the legacy of this eponymous business? And also, if you could take a moment to sort of look back at the 3 decades and think of, who your role model has been. And if you could also talk about your role model, that would be fabulous.
Okay. Once I got back from GIA, myself and my father, Subbiah, we started this company together, Meenu Subbiah and Company then, in the year 1993 at a small 120 square feet room in our house. So that was the very humble beginning of Meenu Subbiah and Company. And my father was a great visionary. He was a man of very far-sighted, and he has been into multiple businesses. And he was, in fact, one of the biggest distributor for Kirloskar products in South India then. And I cannot miss my mom here. My dad used to be traveling around the world, and mom was taking care of the business here as the, marketing management lead. And so it was a very different experience for me having my mom and dad in business. And dad, I was very fortunate that my dad used to come along with me after we started the business together. So he had many other multiple businesses, but then we started this business together after I got back. And he used to travel with me to all the shows. We used to do all the shows in Basel and Hong Kong and Bangkok. And I was fortunate to learn a lot from my dad. And that's how we set up businesses in all the other parts of the world also. And the one thing that my dad would always say is, you can lose money, but never your integrity. So that was the basic, I would say, the foundation laid for MSD is you can lose anything, but never your integrity. So, and everyone who walks into you, this business especially talks a lot about trust, is based on the trust and integrity. So you build on that. So I would think that is the biggest learning from my dad. And that is a legacy that we would love to carry forward and at MSD. And talking about my role model, I have to talk about my mom here. I've seen my mom as, businesswoman who was running about a company with about 35, 40 employees where my dad was always traveling. And the most fascinating part here was he used to be continuously signing checks and giving instructions to a lot of the employees, and all of them, everything was so swiftly going on. And then we come back home and mommy would be helping us with all our work. And it was such a beautiful transition that she used to do, from office to home. And I think that was she was a role model for me, and I always wanted to be like my mom.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm sure there are two things that I take away from this. One, obviously, the saying that your father had, that you can lose money but not your integrity. And of course, I can sort of visualize. I mean, a child like Meenu sort of looking at her mother signing the checks, also balancing these multiple things. And I'm sure Aditi would also say the same things about you as well. Uh, Ganeshan sir, I want to ask you the next question. You spoke about this corporate stint that you had, and when you joined this business, uh, there's a different lens that you carry, right? As a professional, as a subject matter expert, also having worked in a consultancy firm. So, if you could talk from your lens as to what difference does it add to a family business when you come from that background?
Yeah. So after my education from PSG College of Technology, the first corporate experience was with Michael Bosch at Bangalore. So I was with them for 5 years. So I was into product management. Though I was working somewhere, I was very clear that I want to get into entrepreneurship at some point of time. So I was trying to learn all the functionalities that is required for an entrepreneur from a corporate perspective, right from after I finished my training stint at Bosch. So I learned a lot about sales, marketing, advertising, brand management, how to establish systems, how to establish process, how to do a market research, how to engage with customers. So all these learnings. So I learned a lot. I used to travel extensively. I've traveled in those days almost, I would say, 70 to 70% of India. So to that extent, I've traveled. So after my stint with Bosch, it was then PricewaterhouseCoopers was looking for a functional consultant in sales, distribution, and so I joined them as a freelance functional consultant. So I was with them for 2 years. So that was a time that gave me a lot of insights on how to look at systems from the functional requirement point of view. So those kind of insights gave me a lot of learning. So in 2000, late 2002, 2003, I joined the business. So as you rightly said, jewelry was a completely different domain for me. So the first thing I did was to understand the jewelry industry and the various functionalities of the jewelry industry. And what I started doing right from day one is to bring in systems, is to bring in processes, bring in standardization, because I always knew that for any business to grow, your fundamentals in almost all the functions have to be very strong. So I brought in systems, I brought in processes, I standardized a lot of procedures, and that helped us a lot in our scalability of the business and also in the growth of the business. And the other thing, the beauty about jewelry industry is you should bring in a system which will not affect the practicality of the process, because jewelry industry had a lot of unique practices, which is not common for you to see in a lot of other industries. So you have to design your system and establish processes so that the practicality of the jewelry industry is not lost. So those were very interesting learning for me the first 2-3 years. But I was able to do all these things because the family accepted me with the open heart, and they gave me the space required to bring in these kind of transformation. So that's why I was able to bring a lot of corporate knowledge into a family business.
I think there is a lot to learn from this, right? Especially in the gem and jewelry industry, where a lot of the businesses are family run. There is a special set of skills that you bring, especially when you've sort of worked in corporate. And of course, like you said, streamlining processes, introducing new processes, standardization, all of this plays a crucial role, and you'll have to sort of tweak it to some of the things that make it practical for the gem and jewelry industry. Great, sir. Thank you for that. Uh, Now, my question is to both of you, Meenuji and Ganeshan sir. That could you take us a little bit through the growth phase? Now, you talked about scalability, right? You talked about how getting these things was necessary for the next phase of growth. Take us through a little bit of the growth phase that you sort of witnessed. And while there is definitely a growth phase, I'm sure as a business there would have been ups and downs. So, if you could also take a moment to talk about some of the challenges that you had encountered while you were scaling up, and what were your learnings from those? I also have one more question, but I'll sort of reserve it for now. If you could talk a little bit about the growth phase as well as some challenges and learnings.
Okay, talking about the growth phase, 1993, as I already said, we established the Meenu Subbiah and Company in a 120 square feet room in our house. So until about 2003, 1993 to 2003, we were in North Usman. I mean, we were in T Nagar having our office at home. And I used to be designing personally for every client who walks in. And it used to be a very personal experience. And it was more like a family expanded, a family. So that was a very unique experience from 1993 to 2003. In 2003, we started our first showroom in Chennai. And 2006 is when we started manufacturing for B2B. And 2009, we realized that, the B2B, and we started supplying for big corporates, domestic and globally. And we understood the necessity to expand our manufacturing facility. So we set up our state-of-the-art manufacturing facility in 2010. And 2011, since we had the strength to manufacture more, and that gave us the confidence to expand to the other branches also. So we started our first branch in 2011 in Trichy, and 2012 was Coimbatore, 2013 was Karaikudi, and then, in fact, until 2010, Meenu Subbiah and Diamonds was exclusively a diamonds, a store. Everybody understands MSD as a brand which is exclusively diamonds. 2010 is when I started researching into the very traditional Chettinad jewelry, which is very unique style of manufacturing. So I kind of combinated the very Chola style of jewelry, added the Chettinad style of jewelry, and we expanded into the other gemstones, which is all natural rubies, emeralds, sapphires, and the antique jewelry, more on the vintage jewelry style. So, and then 13, 14, 15, we have been spending more time on expanding the other branches. And 19, we incorporated in USA. And 21, we had launched our e-commerce. So year on year, we have been trying to learn the newer technology and been implementing. And here I must say, as already Ganesh said, it is a major role played by Ganesh in all the technology advancements that has happened in MSD. And talking about the little, ups and downs, I should say most of the time, the showroom was shielded by the manufacturing team. So he may be able to say that better.
Tell us if there were any sort of challenges.
Yeah, so growth, I think Meenu has spoken enough. So in terms of challenges, when we started to manufacture in Chennai, the biggest challenge that we faced was to get a good craftsman into Chennai. We were not able to get good craftsmen into Chennai. They were always looking forward to go either to Bombay or to Calcutta or to Surat and work there. Because there were not many studded jewelry manufacturing units in South those days. It was all either plain gold jewelry or plain silver jewelry. So those kind of manufacturing happened. So studded jewelry was very less. So we had a lot of difficulties. So we collaborated then with few institutes here in South, and we used to recruit freshers from those institutes and train them on the job and then convert them into the mainstream employment. And we also collaborated with a couple of headhunters in Mumbai who helped us in sourcing the craftsmen required for this. So that was one challenge which is very clear in my mind, which we took a long time to settle in. But once we settled in, we didn't have any problem, because as they rightly say, to start is the difficult thing. Once you started, then the craftsmen have understood the advantage of working in these kind of places. So we started getting more and more as and when we want. So that was one big challenge, I would say. And in terms of how you maintain leadership, right? How you maintain leadership? Did you ask a question, Shiv?
Uh, I was just about to. So
Okay, sorry.
no problem, sir. So it's a very interesting challenge, and this is something that time and again, whenever we talk to people in the German jewelry industry, the key thing that sort of comes across is talent, the availability of talent. So that's a very key aspect that you mentioned, which I'm sure that you were able to sort of fix that. It took time. I understand that, and I'm sure there are many alumni in the audience would also sort of relate to this challenge whenever they're looking to scale businesses. Availability of talent is obviously a challenge. And the next question that I wanted to ask again, both of you, is how do you sort of ensure leadership clarity when your business is growing, right? When you have sort of roles defined, or at least you try to, right? How do you ensure that clarity of leadership, uh, especially in a family business? And this is some advice that you can probably share with our alumni who are also part of many of the family run businesses. Is that how do you sort of have that clarity, especially when you're looking to build a family business that's going to build for sustenance, sort of a thing? So, any advice for our alumni out there?
I would not say it as an advice. I would only, I'm purely talking from my experience. Um, Look, even in a family business, if you have a clarity in roles and responsibilities for every individual, playing to their strengths, then I think it is very easy to run a family business like any other professionally managed business. So everyone brings their own strength to the table, and we have well defined roles and responsibilities for every one of us. And as I said, my father-in-law was also very clear in that those days itself. He said that we should ensure that any decision that is being made should be brought to the table, discussed in detail, and a decision has to be taken. So we listen to everyone on the discussion table. We give importance to the points that is being brought to the table, and then we take a collective decision. At times, certain decisions would not have gone right, but it's a learning for us. So we learn from those kind of decisions and we come back. So I would say that we were always looking at it from a professional perspective and not from a family perspective. So, and we always ensure that emotions, sentiments doesn't come in a big way into the operations of the business. So I would say that everyone had this in our mind. So that helped us a lot. So my only thing to everyone, whoever is there in the family businesses, you have to have a clear, defined role and responsibility to the strengths of that particular individual. Because everyone has strengths, everyone has limitations. So to their strengths, they should be given roles and responsibilities, and they should be respected whenever they bring in certain key aspects of decisions onto the table.
And I would add here, my father was, invested in me at a very young age. So it is, I think it's that freedom, it's that belief that really matters in a family business. So when we have, everybody has individual strength. And once we understand each other's strength and start respecting it, I think it works very easy. And that's one thing I think is something that we have to pass it on to the next generation, that you have to be free enough to express your opinions and suggestions.
Absolutely. And I think sometime back, Ganeshan sir also sort of mentioned that when he sort of got inducted into the family business, it was very welcoming for him. The kind of environment that was created by Meenu, of course, your father. And those ideas sort of then can take much stronger hold once they are accepted, once they are seen for their merits. And of course, there will be, sort of conflict, there'll be challenges, there'll also be situations when emotions run high. But of course, the people involved in the family business are thinking for the best of the family business as well. So that's I think that's a crucial aspect. Meenaji, I want to take a little detour from talking about family businesses, and I want to take a little peek into how consumer preferences have sort of changed. I mean, you've been in the business for about 30 years, right? So, what, according to you, has changed in the Indian consumer? Like, do you see any sort of changes in how they are buying, or how their design preferences have sort of changed? And maybe as an advice to someone who's also managing a legacy family business, uh, how does one adapt to sort of these changing consumer preferences?
See, 30 years back, Shiv jewelry used to be a very planned buying. So it used to be normally the parents or the grandparents who would come, sit with me, and we used to create a design. And it was quite exciting then also, because they were very open to newer designs. And it was mostly a very traditional close setting style of jewelry. And then we used to be exploring the open setting and different shapes. And that was a very small segment which was open. And also because there was less awareness about designs and diamonds and different qualities there. So slowly, there is a huge change that has happened over years. Say in about 10, 20 years back, we started up with the eye design, where we create along with the bride. So, which is they come and sit with me, and it's the ultimate consumer who sits and designs, and we started creating jewelry. So that itself was a huge, change from the parents and grandparents buying to the ultimate consumer coming and sitting and designing, and we started making. And earlier, it used to be a very planned buying, and I mean, over years we see it's become a very regular buying. We don't wait for an occasion, so it's quite an impulse buying also. So and also, there are no more one single style or single occasion. There are 5, 6 different events in a single wedding. So even in a single wedding, there is a very typical traditional jewelry that you wear for the wedding, and then totally modern jewelry that's worn for the sangeet and cocktails. And again, there are different occasions to wear and different styles. So I would think there's a huge evolution that has happened in designing, and that is mostly because of the technological advancements that has happened. So we are able to create anything, a three-dimensional piece that the customer is even imagining, and we are able to create that. So I would think that has really opened up a huge opportunity. And how do we adapt? I would say that is the best part. I mean, being in jewelry for 3 decades, seen so many different styles that has evolved, and we are still, very eager, and that is exciting to be creating newer designs, and that excites our team at the factory, that excites the shop floor. So I think, and you do a lot of fusion. So that's the best part of being in business for 30 years and learn different styles yet.
Of course. And it's fascinating to hear that, there are so many different occasions. Sometimes it's more, driven by an impulse to buy it rather than the occasion. I think that's a fascinating trend to sort of see that evolve over so many years, earlier how it was and now how it is. And also, as jewelers, what you've done with the eye design sort of concept, where the brides or the customers themselves are sort of working with you to develop their piece. It also speaks a lot about how much research each and every consumer is doing into what they really want. That's an interesting peek into that world. Thank you so
That
much.
gives a very special emotional connect also, because once they sit and design together, it's a piece created by them. And so they actually emotionally are so much more connected to the jewelry. So that is something that we've been enjoying seeing the customers over years.
And I think so the role of jeweler here is not just to sort of help them, put all these material together. It's also sort of working with them. This is such a collaborative process, right? And of course, when the creative juices start flowing, that could, that of course lends more of that emotional appeal. Certainly. Thank you so much.
Shiv, I'll add just one point to this. As she rightly said, because of a lot of advancement, they come up with beautiful designs. So the challenge is always with the factory. He made that because at the wax the cast stage, the frame has to come for approval, and then they'll say the profiling is not okay. The profiling has to be different. So the challenge is always for the factory.
Constant showroom and factory. They're like,
Great. So now we will talk to the balancing factor between the showroom and the factory. Aditi, my next question is, like, how do you sort of get your parents to agree to an idea that you are convinced about? Okay, let's assume that you are totally convinced about a new collection, and you feel that they aren't. So how do you go about convincing them? And on the flip side, you could also talk about any sort of moments that where you have been a little not so sure about something, and they have sort of motivated you, or they have encouraged you, Aditi, go ahead, do this, it's okay to try. So if you could talk about this, the balancing factor between the showroom and also as a jewelry designer.
so I think, definitely when there are so many people bringing ideas to the table, there is difference of opinion here and there. But seeing if they're not very difficult to convince most of the time. If I was convinced, and my mom sees the artistic part of it, my dad sees the practical, rational part of it. So if they both get on a common ground where it's quirky, but it's still not very irrational, they both are okay with it. It's easy to convince them, and they both agree on it. And I think when you talk about encouraging, I think ever since I was a kid, anything I've ever done, they never, I think, then my dad would let me do it. And then once, once it doesn't work, or that's when he comes to me and says, it's okay, you tried, it didn't work, it's fine. And I think it's right from childhood is something it is. Like when I used to be very involved in sports and arts and debates and one, and I've had lots of wins, lots of fails, and I used to fall all the time. I've had so many TT injections I can't remember. So at every point, my dad would just be, it's okay, you tried and it didn't work, or it worked, great. So I think that is imbibed in me since I was a kid. So right now, I think that moment of encouragement, it really helps me now that I'm in business. So the fact that, when I'm coming up with a new, like you said, a new jewelry collection, or, I'm experimenting something very new, they were okay with it. They're like, let's go ahead with it. Let's see where it goes. It might open up newer things. We might explore more. So that works. And I think
Jewelry that we have been making.
for me as a kid, the jewelry that, I used to draw a lot of jewelry. And my mom, like every birthday, they would pick my design and make a jewelry out of it for me. So every birthday, I have one jewelry that I designed made for me. That was another kind of encouragement that they would give me, saying, you know what, hey, your designs are so nice and we can make them into a nice piece. Right? So I think at every step of the way, they've been very encouraging and also very accommodative to any kind of view I bring to the table. So I think that way, so far so good.
As quirky as they are.
Yeah, yeah. So far so good. She's sounding like we are very cool parents. I think we need to be a little more stiff now.
I was about to say that. I don't know, I had that night with something which I shouldn't have.
Yeah, it's because they have very cool parents. So she and her mom actually studied together. They studied in the same. So before going to GIA, I wanted to understand my seriousness. So I did my gemology in GII. And of course, if I had to go and stay in Bombay all alone, I'm sure I wouldn't have stayed. So my mom and dad really understood that. And mom came and stayed with me. We both were classmates and we both were roommates. So not only did they stay, she also enrolled with her. Yeah. And they both took classes. They gave the exams together. So we did gemology together at GII.
So yeah, that sort of
it goes as fast as all.
yeah, how cool our parents are and how cool you are as parents. Great. Before we move on to the next question, there's some really great images, photographs that we sort of strewn across from all the research that we've done about you. So I'd just like to share some of those photographs, and all of you could sort of comment on that, and we could have a look at them. All right. So the first picture is this. I think this is the Carlsbad campus. All three of you there, right?
Yeah.
Yes. They were visiting me when I was there doing my GG. So they visited campus for the day, and it was really fun. All the instructors, everyone was so happy that everybody's a GI graduate. And, it was a fun day. Yeah.
Yeah. This is Aditi, not so far ago in time, right? This is last year, probably.
Couple of months ago.
Oh, okay.
I think July maybe.
Just
No,
few months.
few months ago. Yeah.
Almost a year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. We'll definitely catch up on some of the campus experiences, but here is just a quick photograph, right? For people who are looking at this, I'll sort of at least lay the context. On the left-hand side, this is 30 years ago, Meenu ji, in a GI classroom at Carlsbad. And 30 years later, on the right-hand side, we have Adithi, who's also in the Carlsbad campus in a GI classroom. And the resemblance, I must say, is uncanny.
Shiva, I was in New York. My mom was in New York.
Correct.
I was the Carlsbad.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the resemblance is just amazing, right? Did you, Aditi, did you sort of try and recreate this moment?
I did. I really wanted to recreate it. So I mean, this was right before break, and then it became a class activity. So all of my classmates are like, no, the angle is not right. And my other classmates are like, no, you know what? I'm going to go sit behind just like that lady. So it comes out exactly like that one. So yeah, I did want to recreate the picture. So
Beautiful, beautiful.
yeah.
But that's an amazing story. Sorry, ma'am, you were saying something?
No, nothing.
And here is a jewelry design by Adithi Ganeshan in first A.
This I need to say something. This was in a drawing competition in her school, and she was selected. And then we had a call from the principal saying they want to see the parents of this girl, Adithi Ganeshan. We were quite surprised, and we both of us went to the school, and the principal was so surprised. She said, "Adiva, I mean, what is this? A child drawing a ruby and diamond necklace in a drawing competition?" So she was given a prize, and then that was quite a special experience for us to go as parents and see.
Okay. Aditi, what inspired you?
Well, we all know what inspired me. It's what I was thinking every day. So practically, if you would ask me to draw anything, I would only draw jewelry because that's what I was seeing day in and day out. So my sketch could have been a lot better, and I am not proud of my spelling, but it is what it is. So
Beautiful, beautiful. But this is just so to say that the environment around you, Aditi, was so conducive for this. Like even in a painting and a sketching competition, you end up creating jewelry, and this is not something that you had to do for work. So fabulous. And we have some more images of the designs that you made. Aditi, if you can tell us a little bit about this.
So, like I said, every birthday I would design something and my parents would make jewelry out of it for me. So, the first piece I designed was the A. It was an A ring that's there on top because my name was Aditi and that's the alphabet I knew very well. So, it is an A, and that's all I created first. And then it became an every year thing. So, I think this was the other pendant and earring was maybe when I was 5 or 6 years old. I really used to like Hello Kitty. And the ribbon on her on top was something, I was very fantasized to it. I was like, this ribbon is so cute. I want it on me. So the ribbon was the inspiration for the pendant and the earring. So, I mean, I have quite a few of them. I don't know what I was thinking when I designed them when I was a kid. But I have one for every birthday. So I think that is memorable. And that was again something that motivated me from a very young age. So,
I mean, no no words of encouragement could do any better than having a piece of jewelry sketched, fleshed out and given to you as a gift. I mean, that's just amazing. Wow. So I'm going to take a moment and talk about since we spoke to Aditi and her passion for jewelry that's been lifelong. Uh, Ma'am, Meenuji and Ganeshan sir, I want to talk to you a little bit about succession planning, right? Well, of course, Aditi is there in the business contributing, adding value, but I want to understand what does one do sort of differently to make the jewelry business attractive for their next generation? Uh, Whenever we talk to a lot of people in the industry, especially tenured business leaders, one of the concerns, some of them of course share the concerns that not many of the next generation are interested to join the family business. So while the problem sort of did not exist with Aditi, but also if you could sort of advise on what can one do to sort of make that environment conducive, because I'm sure at some point of time you would have thought about, is Aditi really going to join the business, or does she have other interests that she wants to look at? If you could talk, ma'am and sir, if you can talk a little bit about that, that'd be great.
See, when in our experience, I would say that when the kids are growing up, it is very important to give them the space and leave the decision making. We might give them, or rather show them the plus and minus of being in a business or being in a family business, but give them the freedom to choose so that they're not feeling very forced about it. See, the next generation is very smart to understand everything. If they understand the benefit of being in the family business, I'm sure they are going to take it up. But if it is forced on them, that may not be a very happy start for the next generation. And also, I would think it is very important to let them explore on their own. See, when we started off, we also explored different things and then, settled on a business, right? So it is very important to let them explore. And in many of the family-run businesses, what we have seen is the hierarchy is not very well understood or very well received by the next generation. So it is, I think, as a very important thing, we have to give them a place and a position when they start off that gives them the responsibility the day they start in the business. So I would think that is quite important to do that. And
Look, okay, my perspective on this shift, in a business family, for every youngster, the gene is already there, right? So when they will get the spark or when they will get the fire, we will not be able to say. So what we can do is we can only shape their thoughts. We can give them the right kind of education. And in the last few years, if you see the kind of technology revolution that has happened, unless otherwise you evolve the business and make it attractive for the next generation to come in, so that they can, together with this, whatever they want to do, they can also do, because they all want, they want to be multifaceted. Today's youngsters, they want to be multifaceted. So they should be able to get a business from the family which is very professionally managed, well established systems, processes, so they can easily come in, learn and manage. At the same time, they also have the space to do whatever they want. And when I said that the gene is already there, you can only shape, I would like to recollect something in Aditi's, what happened in Aditi. When she was in the school, she started learning Kathak. So at some point of time, she got a feeling that she wanted to have a startup in dance. So you want to speak about this?
Yeah, I was just going to pitch and say, so I think the first thing they did right was not push me during school saying, you know what, you are getting into business, or, you have to finish GIA and you have to get into business. That was never there. So because I was enjoying the process and I was school, they let me enjoy. Like I would come to the showroom, I would go to the factory, and I was just taking it easy and I would just enjoy being there, and they let me enjoy. So when I was finishing school, I wanted to have something of my own related to dance, because I'm someone who really loves art forms and I explore art forms a lot. So I started something called Happy Dancing, and the idea was very simple, just to promote dance as a concept across ages and purposes. So I've done workshops for like 80-year-olds, and I've done for like 2-year-old kids, and I've done for terminally cancer patients. I've done it as a vocation, as a tool to inculcate vocational skills for government school children. So I've used dance as a tool for everything, and I was very happy doing that. And then I co-founded another a platform to promote different artists of different art forms. So I started doing thematic productions. So and I still do all that. I have a studio space that I have here, and I still do all of that. But I wanted to do that as a passion, and I wanted to take up this as my career, as my main focus. And that was by no way did both of them ever force me into it. They let me just take the course. So when I was very happy doing arts, I decided to do jewelry designing. So I learned jewelry designing. Even though I was sketching, I learned jewelry designing professionally. And then I did a jewelry manufacturing internship in Dubai for a couple of months. And then I felt like I was ready to do my GG. So then I went along, and it naturally took its course. There was no force or anything, and I think that's the first thing they did right in getting me into the business.
So what I'm telling here, Shiv, is, see, nothing should be forced on to your kids. One, two, when they will get the spark, don't try to force them on that. They will get the spark, they will get the fire, they will join the business. So let them enjoy the journey. So the bigger goal or the bigger picture is they should enjoy the journey. And in terms of what we can give them as a family businesses, you need to evolve the business continuously to today's needs in terms of technology and everything, and give it to them in such a way that, because they speak of time, they speak of speed, they speak of efficiency, they speak of effectiveness. Gone are the days where we used to work on a single problem for 5 hours, 6 hours to come up with a solution. But they want faster solutions. So accordingly, the businesses have to evolve. So if everyone puts in efforts into that, definitely the next generation will be able to handle not only the family business, along with the family business, they can handle multiple businesses. They can become serial entrepreneurs, because the ecosystem today is good for serial entrepreneurs, and our kids are really capable for that.
Fabulous. And I think there's a lot to unpack over here. So right from creating that space, giving them the required space, and also helping them evaluate the pluses and minuses of everything that's available to them. And Aditi, I'm sure you've had the very cool parents to sort of help you do that, and find your way to the jewelry, to the gem and jewelry industry. Uh, Thank you for speaking about that. Now, my next question to you is something that ma'am, spoke a little earlier about, which is that when the business MSD really started, the focus was there on educating customers, like being their counsels, right? And helping them make the right purchase decisions. Now, of course, you both are products of GIA. You have the right technical knowledge to sort of talk about it if you're dealing with customers directly. But how do you ensure that your workforce also sort of speaks the same language, also has this culture of educating consumers first, and of course with integrity, like ma'am mentioned that it needs to be done with integrity. Money is just a sort of byproduct. So how do you ensure that your workforce delivers the same sort of product knowledge and acts as a wise counsel to the customers?
See, I strongly believe that the awareness accelerates business. So once the consumers are aware of the product, I think it makes it easier for them to make a decision. So from the time I started, the first thing that I would do is, once I got back, I used to take a card, have the D, E, E, F, every different diamonds. And I used to actually show every consumer, every customer, that these are the different qualities of diamonds. When you start buying a diamond, it's just not one single quality. So I was very fascinated explaining that to them. And slowly over the years, we have done a lot of awareness programs. I did a program with Radio Malaysia, where it was a 1-hour live program. And the questions were flowing on how to buy diamonds, and why is it important to buy diamond from somebody who's educated. And that's where I've been talking a lot about GIA, and that GIA certified diamonds are the best to go in for if you're going in for solitaires. So those were the kind of talks, and those are the kind of interviews that I used to give Radio Malaysia, Singapore, and then Doordarshan. That's all about educating consumers on how to buy diamonds. Why is it important to look at the different qualities of diamonds? So when that was my personal interest, obviously every time when we recruit an employee, the first thing that we train them on is how to answer the FAQs. So, and the FAQs in general will be, what is the black mark in the diamond, or, is this a good quality of diamond, or is this diamond going to be suitable for me? So there are a lot of questions. So I personally used to train all our employees on how you need to educate your customers. So that was our utmost importance to us. And today we do run a regular staff training programs where we, explain them all the nuances of the industry, and we train them on how to educate the customer. So that has been kind of a very important part of MSD, where the first thing we do is educating the consumer, and then comes the sale automatically.
Thank you, Aman. And that's a great point. Sir, sorry, you wanted to...
Yeah, so as she rightly said, we have a well-structured training program for our staff. So where we have a training manual starting from the 4 C's of diamond to the gemstones, and whatever we have learned at GIA, the basics of what they should know to handle customers. So we try to give them from the stone perspective, and also from the jewelry perspective, in terms of the gold purity, in terms of the functional aspects of the jewelry, and all those things. And we have a well-defined FAQ manual, so which will give them good insights of how to respond to the customers. And we conduct training sessions on periodical basis, so that we can keep them updating on the developments. And any new question comes in, it automatically goes into the database, so that is getting added to the FAQs. So likewise, we are bringing in. And very recently, interestingly, last year, we also came up with our AI bot. So we have also started training the AI bot with all this knowledge base, the GIA, whatever we have acquired from GIA. So most of the units, the first phase of questions for whoever interacts with the bot are being answered by our AI bot now. So to that extent, we give importance to the education for the customer, because everything revolves around trust. So they have to be well aware, well informed of what they are buying. Because this is, even today in India, it's considered as an investment asset class. So they should know what they are buying, because they are going to again pass it on to the generations.
Fantastic. And great point about sort of having a AI-driven chatbot. I think Meenuji mentioned during the growth phase that e-commerce is something that you had started some years ago, and of course, when the newer age generation is primarily doing a lot of research online, when they come to your online store, and when they're looking at all the inventory, all the merchandise, they will obviously have some questions in their mind, and it's great to have like a chatbot which is well trained with everything that you fed into it, to make sure that it is giving out accurate answers. That's a great thought. So from technology, I want to take a complete 360-degree turn and talk to you about something which is very close to what Meenuji mentioned earlier, is the rich legacy and history that has that India has, and specifically, ma'am spoke about the Chettinad designs, right? Ma'am, so my question to you is that, is there some sort of a design or manufacturing technique that you've witnessed gaining prominence? And specifically, if you could talk about the Chettinad designs, that sort of jewelry that you specialize in, and you could maybe talk a little bit about some of the specifics in terms of what sort of jewelry is created in as part of Chettinad jewelry, and that would sort of help us understand a little bit of the cultural nuances as well.
Yeah, sure. Chettinad is, it's I would say very synonymous to jewelry. From the beginning, from the birth till the last day of her life, there is a specific style of jewelry that is made. We have the ritualistic jewelry. We have the ornamental jewelry. So, for example, the Gauri Shankaram is a very unique and it's very typical of Chettinad, where it's the Shiva and the Parvati put together in a very ornate piece and strung with the Rudraksh. So that's a very unique piece where it is worn on the 60th or the 70th or the 80th birthday. And jewelry is just not for the women, it's for the men also. And this is a very typical men jewelry, the Rudraksh and the Gauri Shankaram. And then the Mangal Sutra in Chettinad, the Mangal Sutra is so ornate and it is so artistic. In fact, I would need about a day to explain the whole history of why the Chettinad, the Mangal Sutra is so ornate and has so much meaning in it. So, and that is how, jewelry had so much importance in the culture as such. And very typical style of jewelry is it always had a lot of diamonds, very artistic. It was mostly, nature inspired, very floral and peacocks. And in fact, there is a very unique style called the Poocharam, which just had a lot of flower patterns in it. It was very uniquely carved. It's a very beautiful style of creating. So that is very typical of Chettinad. We have the Mangala Charam, Poocharam, Kandacharam. Charam is a layer of a repeated motif. So that was a very typical style of stringing together like a mala, which is very flexible. And another very unique style of Chettinad jewelry is the lace pattern. In the mid-90s, there was a lot of Victorian influence. And so the Chettinad jewelry had a lot of lace style jewelry. So, when I got into the research of the Chettinad jewelry, it was such a beautiful journey from learning a lot from the floral motifs and peacocks. And the inspiration is a lot from the mansions and the temples of, Chettinad. And then sudden shift to totally the Victorian jewelry with the lace patterns. And that has absolutely taken a huge prominence in the last few years, and we do create very exotic pieces fusing the very traditional Chettinad and the mid-90s jewelry.
Beautiful closing.
And then most of it is close setting.
It's a setting more typical to the southern part of India. It's called close setting.
Yeah.
And something very specific about Chettinad jewelry is you'll see a lot of resemblance in the architecture. The motifs will also be there on our jewelry. The paintings, they're all going to be similar motifs. And they're all inspired from different places due to the different traits they had, like Mama mentioned.
So you will find some of the high quality diamonds, Burmese rubies, Colombian emeralds.
Burmese sapphires, the best of everything would be.
Wow. I just had a couple of pictures that I sort of got, and I think this is exactly what you were talking about, Pam. Let me just present it on the screen.
Yeah, the one with the 2-layer is the Mangal Sutra that is tied on the day of the wedding, and literally, you're forcefully making the girl bend for all with a weight of about a kg.
That used to weigh almost a kg in those days, Shiv. And the 2 layers is a single piece. Yeah, it's a single piece.
First layer, the second layer.
Yeah, correct. It's a single piece, and it used to weigh almost a kilo.
Yeah. And the one on the left is the Gauri Shankaram that the men wore on their 60th and 70th. So these are very typical Chettinad style of jewelry.
That has Gauri and Shankar, both of them there. And there's a small opening there where they keep the sacred powder. It's called Vibhuti, which they use to bless them. So there's a small opening inside it in most pieces.
Oh, yeah. Oh, this is fabulous. And I can almost imagine sort of the jewelry where you spoke about studded jewelry where there is a lot of rubies, Burmese rubies, and diamonds and so on and so forth. But this is fabulous. This is certainly something that we don't generally see on a regular basis.
Yes, it's not a very common style.
And also sort of understand what sort of inspires it. You spoke about the Chettinad very early on. You spoke about what sort of cultural background that they had in terms of being very frequent travelers, connoisseurs of art from across the world. And that sort of influences, architecture, the obsession with possibly everything related to art, and of course, jewelry. Thank you so much for a peek into this, ma'am. This is absolutely fascinating. Aditi, the next question is for you. Now, you mentioned that you've been, you witnessed the growth of MST, right? Right from being a child who was running across the first showroom to now being in front of customers, talking to them. Um, I want to understand, from you, if you could talk a little bit about any sort of interesting customer stories, especially now that you interact with them a lot more directly. I think earlier you might only be playing around with their children who they would bring along, right? But now you are talking to them. So, if you could share any sort of interesting customer stories?
My favorite thing to say is for us, I think you're not only a jeweler, you're their stylist, you're their therapist, you're everything for them, tops to bottom, their whole life is for most customers. So, I mean, like you said, I've seen, I used to play with their kids. So, like 3, 4 generations, now their kids are our customers. So, when they come now, a lot of them get married. One of my favorite clients to ever be with our brides and the whole family. Because it's a whole experience. Not only the jewelry, but it's the bride, and they want help with the clothes. So when they're at a designer store, they call and they're like, hey, you know what, is this dress going to look nice, with my jewelry? And then you help them out with what kind of a makeup look they should go with, how their hair should be tied. So everything put together, it looks nice. And now it's also the bridesmaid. And my mom gives a lot of importance to the bride's mother. Because in the whole wedding, the bride's mother does not pay enough attention to herself because she's so busy with so many other things. So it's the bride, the bridesmaid, the grooms now, the groomsmen. It's a whole process, and I absolutely enjoy doing weddings. But another very interesting customer experience for me, it's very close to my heart, was when the president of Mauritius visited us. So she visited us, and I think according to itinerary, she had 12 minutes to visit us, and that was a very different experience for us. The whole road was blocked. And we had the sniffer dog who was sniffing all our buildings from top to bottom in the morning. And we had some homemade food we wanted to give her. So all of that was lab tested, and then it had to stay in front of their eyes. And then when she came in, there were like 10 cars coming in. It was a very different experience for us. She spent a good 45 minutes with us, very warm, very humble. It was a very close to the heart because she, being a woman, resonated so much with our brand and my mother, my grandmother. And it was a very close to the heart experience for me when she visited us.
Oh, wow. Beautiful. I mean, from the 12 minutes that she actually had to spend, and she ended up spending more than close to 40 minutes, I think. That's fabulous. That speaks volumes about the sort of engagement that you have had with them. Great story there. So there's always a very interesting question that I sort of end with, which is about a favorite gemstone. But before I do that, with you lot, which is the one thing which is common in this frame is GIs, right? So I want to talk to you about, and of course, I stand corrected because I mentioned earlier that Meenu ji also did her, her GI course from Carlsbad. But now I think it's clear, right? New York, Carlsbad, Bangkok. Fabulous. So let's talk about your campus experiences, because what I'm sure what will happen is there'll be so many memories that will come down. It'll come rushing to you. I'm sure there are so many alumni who are listening into you who will also feel the same. So each of you, let's start with Aditi. If you could, the recent graduate from GIA, if you would talk about any sort of special memory from the GI campus.
I think with GI is very fresh.
Sorry, other than recreating that photograph.
For me, GI is so fresh because I just graduated. So I have a lot of memories on campus. For me, one would be, I was a student body president there at Student Body Council. And for me, that was a great learning experience, interacting with so many different alumni. We had so many esteemed speakers being brought on campus. And I was in charge of, organizing a lot of events for students on campus. So that was something that it's very, it gave me a lot of exposure, and it's something that I always hold close to my heart. But a core memory for me would be JCK. JCK happened during GIA last year when I was studying there. So we all drove down to Vegas to attend JCK, and that kind of stuck as a core memory because we took off. It was a 4-day trip, and we would like work all day, but the kind of fun we've had in JCK, I think is something that I'll always want to very close to my heart. So I would say it is JCK.
Beginning of GIA.
I mean, so you know how strenuous the first week of GIA is, and I did not get my visa until the day it started. So GIA already started for me there, and I hadn't gotten my visa. So I walked in 2 days late to my course, and I walked in on Wednesday, and Friday was my first final. So I had no idea how I was going to do it. And my instructor, Teresa, she was very sweet. She was like, no, you know what, it's okay. Just do the homework for this week first. I can help you out, take some time out, and you can do it. I still don't know how I did it because I had not finalized my housing, anything, because I didn't know if I was getting my visa. I got my visa at 5 in the evening. I booked my flight ticket at 6 and I left in 2 hours. So on the way, I am finding accommodation, I am booking my car, I'm doing everything on the way. And I think, that is something I will never forget because it comes to GIA. So, yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, for me, I would think, so I used to wear glasses. So I very, very vivid in my memory is my instructor was Patrick. So Pat would just come, he would say, you see this inclusion at 3 o'clock. And I would go to the microscope and I would say, no, Pat, I don't see it at 3 o'clock. He would again come, look at it and say, Meenu, it is at 3 o'clock. I would come up and say, Pat, are you sure it's at 3 o'clock? Because I am absolutely not able to say. And then he would say, it's the same. 3 o'clock position is the same in India and America, Meenu, and I'm very sure about that. So with my glasses, it was so different, right? The power was such a difficult thing to focus. So that every time used to be, and every time I remember, and after I got back and I was grading, I would always remember that. So that is something I would immediately relate to as a funny memory.
Something that I can also personally relate to. I mean, I find it very difficult to look through the
glasses. Yes, absolutely.
It is. It's always in the way, in better way.
So,
Yeah, for me, all along I was a studious guy. So likewise, I went to after I went to GIA Bangkok. So for any question, the first guy to put up the answer will be me. So there will be a few guys looking at me saying, "Who's this guy?" For everything putting up the. So it was so nice. The instructors were so good. I had lovely friends over there. But the best experience I would rate in Bangkok is because I was studying in GIA, I had access to some of the renowned gemstone traders or manufacturers in Bangkok, who otherwise I think I would not have been allowed to enter their premises itself. So because I was studying in GIA, I was allowed, I was able to interact with them, I was able to establish a relationship with them. So that was one of the best experience that I've had in Bangkok, because Bangkok, as you know, is full of color stones, and wherever you turn, you can find people with color stones and all exotic stuffs. So GIA helped me a lot in that. And that was a good experience for me at GIA. Otherwise, getting up in the morning, a lot of people used to find it difficult to get up in the morning and be there on time. But for me, it was okay because I always get up early.
He wakes up at 4:30. I just want to put it in.
Okay, so 9 o'clock reporting time is hardly a problem.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you for mentioning that, so that the GI credentials sort of helped you open up those doors that potentially could not have. But thank you so much, all of you, for sharing these wonderful campus experiences, right from almost making it 2 days late to the program, to everything related to checking microscope with your glasses on, to the access to everything that you got because of being a GI. My final question.
And just add to this point, almost missing the class. Even when we know that all the other alumni are muted, I can hear they saying, "Oh my God, first 2 days, first week, 2 days, how miss Aditi," kind of thing, because we literally tell them that please don't miss any part, any hour of first week. So, but then you made it, and you had a wonderful experience. So nice to know.
Yeah.
Great. I'm so sorry. There's some disturbance at my end, but uh, before we go back to Manisha and see if there are any Q&A from the audience and everyone who you sort of enthralled for over an hour, I just have one final question, and I need absolutely straightforward answers, no diplomacy. Okay, each of you, your favorite gemstone and why?
Okay, for me, I would straight away say it's diamonds and rubies because I've always seen my mom, wearing this beautiful ruby and diamond earring. So that was my first thing in my mind. And I always felt this also very internally. Every time I see a ruby, it kind of really brightens up and it kind of really energizes me. So I would always love the red and the white combination. That's one of my favorites. So the rubies and diamonds, no thinking.
Shiv, she's wearing white and red.
I was, I just noticed that. Thank you. Oh my God. Yeah. That's a coincidence, though.
And she is also called, sorry, she's also called Varia Meenu. I cannot miss that term.
Called Vairo.
Yeah, Varia Meenu. Yes. So if you can click that term, ma'am, for the audience.
Yes. Okay. See, when we come from Chettinad, where all of us are named after our grandparents. Okay. So my grandmom's name is Meenakshi, and all my cousins, first cousins, all of them are named Meenakshi, Meenakshi, Meenakshi. So the first thing, how to identify each individual differently. So it used to be the tall Meenu. It was very different for everybody. The first thing everybody would come up is, it was very easy to call me Vaira Meenu because Vairam is diamonds. So they would immediately relate me to diamonds. So that's how initially they started calling me. But then eventually, even to store in their phones, there are so many Meenu. So the first thing everybody would store it as Vaira Meenu. And that name became so popular, and I was awarded Vaira Mamani Award, which is a very
Authority.
It's an authority in diamond kind of thing. So Vairam Mamani. So it started as a reference to her, and then it just stuck on. So now she's called Vairam Meenu on a day-to-day basis.
Thank you.
Had I known this before, like before we started the session, I would not have called you just Meenuji. I sorry. Can you?
Vairam. Vairam.
Wow.
Vairam is diamonds.
Yeah.
Fabulous. Thank you so much for that, and thank you, Manisha, for bringing it up.
Yeah.
Aditi, your favorite gemstone?
I'm a recent GG. So I'm pretty obsessed with my gemstone. Right now it's phenomenal stones. Like my moonstones and labradorite. So anything with this different phenomenon I see, I am being very drawn towards it and I'm obsessing over it. So it's because of the why is because of the different colors it brings out and the different tones it brings out. It's very different when it's set on jewelry, and that's something I'm finding very fun now to work with and experiment. So that's why.
Looking forward to seeing some of those quirky collections. No.
For me, I'll always go with diamonds for two reasons. I was born in April, so diamond is the birthstone. And the second thing is, before engagement, when I went to see Meenu for the first time, I still remember my mom telling me that நீ பார்க்க போற பொண்ணு வந்து ஒரு வைர தொழில் பண்றா அப்படின்ட்டு, which means that the girl you're going to see is into diamond business. so and because of that, also I like diamonds. So diamond is my favorite.
Actually, he's scoring brownie points.
Fantastic. As many brownie points as diamonds can get you. But maybe your mother also sort of mentioned, sort of wanted to say that, the girl that you're going to see is a diamond. Uh,
Very fun story as to what the picture he was given of her. There was this small booklet that had come out about educating about diamonds and all of that. And my mom's picture was there, a small picture of her behind. So that is the booklet that was given to him saying, this is the girl you're going to be. And he still has that picture in his wallet.
Wow. Amazing. Amazing. And one more thing which I just sort of noticed is, ma'am, you were talking about rubies and diamonds, right? And one of the sketches that we saw that Aditi sort of made when in our school competition, that also was diamonds and rubies. So I think that obsession sort of carries on along with the legacy.
I think I've passed it on totally onto her.
Right. Of course, from timeless values to passing on, obsessions about gemstones.
And now GIA has changed that. Gone into the phenomenon.
Don't worry, ma'am. She will come back to diamonds. And
GIA seems to be stronger than the legacy. GIA is the legacy now.
Correct. Yeah. GIA.
I started writing my questions down on post-its, and I went through 1, I went through 2, I went through 3, I went through 4, and then I said, let's finish. This was, first of all, this was an amazing session. But I was just jotting down some of the learning, right? So that were parenting, just that style and the way you brought up an outstanding young woman, and what it really takes to do that. Business, an artist, an engineer coming together, right, lending their skills, and making the best out of it, right, to make a business successful, growth, the passion that it probably takes to be successful, right? And just amazing to see. I think Shiv probably got carried away today, just with the energy, right, that you all brought to this conversation. Integrity over money. What a lesson. I mean, that isn't, then what is education? How far one would go to seek education, right? To be in business, right? Your mother coming to Mumbai with you. I thought Aditi was going to say Meenu came to Mumbai to CB, right? She joined me on the plane at 8 p.m. that night, but I know that didn't happen. But I mean, how far? I mean, even Ganesh sir, with his background and his his experience, still saying, you know what, I need to go and get a GIA education, right, to be a part of this business. Just the fact that your belief is that much in education, and then using that education to educate your customers. Right? I thought that was another amazing point that you all made. Technology and staying updated, and he also very subtly gave the challenge to Aditi as well, right in this conversation, to stay updated, to be. So I mean, my list goes on, but it was truly a fantastic session. I have lots of questions, but I will just stick to one. Okay. And so this one is, you see, one of the things I learned, right, as you were talking, is you in early 2000s you talked about how you got your customer to come in and design, right, with you, right, the piece that they. Today we speak so much about bespoke and the consumer having the personality coming into jewelry. I mean, you all did it 20 years back, right? And the woman self-purchase, that seems to be a movement, right, across the world. How do you see all of this happening in the coming years?
So I would think, see, those years when there was no technology and we didn't have CAD CAM, it was a lot of invention. It was a lot of innovation that came from within, right? So we had to actually work a lot more. So I would think, today it is a very different scenario, and you have a lot more opportunities, a lot more learning, and also I would say it is very easily available over the net, over the designing as such. I would think already people are coming with the preset ideas, and that helps us a lot more to work more on that. See, those days I had to stick with the I design. That's because the consumers were less aware, and I had to sit and teach them or train them on create an awareness and educate them. But that was a beautiful experience altogether. Today, they're already coming up with a lot of information. See, today they already kind of know what is the look that they want. And the role we play that is to give them the best, uh, give them the best of what they want. So I would think it is an evolution. Then it was, more personally sketching. And today it is all, CAD, CAM, like that. AI is there. And going forward, there are going to be a lot of changes. But I'm sure what is going to be staying is that desire to create newer and more different um, uh, styles, and innovation is going to be there, and the desire to own that is continue is going to be there. Of course, the changes will be adapted.
Question is for Ganeshan sir, and it is, I mean, how does a strong engineer survive amidst two very strong artistic women? Now, I know I'm making it a little lighter, but I will tell you where I want to go with this. Right? It is, you see, how do you effectively blend your personalities, your styles? You talked about roles, but I want to just, if you can expand a little more on how that worked.
Well, okay, before answering this question, I just add to what Meenu said. You would have seen now evolution of STEM into STEAM, right? Art is coming into every web. So creativity is going to be there. Creativity is going to rule the world, whether you're in any phase of business. So unless otherwise creativity is there, because even in CAD CAM, unless otherwise the guy is creative, he cannot get a design which he can convince to a customer. So creativity is very, very crucial, and art is coming in a very big way in education in every domain, whether it is science or technology or mathematics or engineering. Art is coming in a very big way, and there are schools that are coming into only arts in a big way. So art is going to be there always, even in the future. So that is my addition to what Meenu said. And coming up to this kind of clarity, right? So I took a long time to make a decision before joining a business, before joining this family business, because it was Meenu and her father who founded this business, and they had brought this business to a certain extent when I joined in 2002. Why I took the time was I was at a very senior level of senior management position in the corporate, and then I did consulting for PricewaterhouseCoopers, where I was heading a function. So coming into a family business needs a lot of sacrifice in the initial stages. You cannot keep harping that you come from a corporate background, you come from this kind of, you possess this kind of expertise, and try to thrust on something. Because business and being in a corporate world is completely different. An entrepreneur, an employee cannot get into the shoes of an entrepreneur, and an entrepreneur cannot get into the shoes of a real professional. It's very, very difficult. So after I joined the business, I should really thank both Meenu and her father for giving me the space to understand the business and also create opportunities for me to understand. And then I slowly started telling them on how we should evolve this business, how we should look beyond in terms of starting from simple things of process, systems, human resource, how we should have a standardization of procedures, and all those things. So with due respect to the knowledge and the experience that they brought in, so they gave space to me to understand this. And slowly I also understood their strengths that they were bringing into the table. So that is when I said that, okay, a family business can be very, very successful if each one plays to their strengths. And we have well-defined roles and responsibilities. And when it comes to a discussion, we listen to their points and then we come to a collective decision making, and then we implement it. So as I said earlier, if it fails, it fails. If it wins, you take the credibility and keep evolving further. So the basic thing is well-defined roles and responsibilities with the need-based authority.
To specifically direct that to what you had asked about art and practicalists, how they both manage that, I think it's a very simple balance. When she comes up with something very artistic and it's her forte, and if he does not seem to understand that exactly, he just lets it because it's her strength. And if he comes up with a system or a process and she does not exactly know how it's going to go on, it's his strength. So she just lets that happen. That's how the balance works. That's precisely what you asked. So that's how they work. If the strength is somebody else, they just let that flow happen.
And it is to some extent respecting each other's strength and also letting go, right? I mean, letting go sometimes of that ego that often comes in the way of. Thank you.
This question from Sumit who wants to know, as a diamond business, how do you distinguish or differentiate yourself from other existing diamond businesses to the retail customer? That is, simply put, he is wanting to know, why is it that someone should buy from you and not from the others? So,
Everybody has their individual strength. So that the world is a huge stage, and there are some people resonate with a certain brand. So I think a certain foundational principles that MSD has, and a lot of clients are able to resonate with that, and that's why they come to a certain store, and that is the reason why the loyalty has been maintained over years. So I think that's the case with every single brand or any single store. So it may not be anything to do with the specific quality, or anything may not be specific, but I think it's more key to the brand that they resonate with, the brand principles that they resonate.
If I just add to that,
Marcel.
right from the inception, we always try to create jewelry to complement the beauty of the wearer. So we don't try to be desperate in selling the jewelry what we have to the customers. So we try to design what will look good on them, because they have to ultimately enjoy wearing that piece of jewelry. So that has been our practice right from the inception. And even today we follow that. And that's what Adithi was saying, that she enjoys designing for occasions, big occasions, where she sits with the wearer. She understands their taste. She understands what costumes they're going to wear, what kind of makeup they're going to wear. So the jewelry has to complement and ultimately give that kind of ultimate expression of love and happiness in the wearer.
Absolutely. On their very important day. Yeah. Sorry, you were saying something.
We give a lot of importance to that, and that has been one of our key strengths.
Thank you so much. Before any other question, I have one question from me. You have multiple stores, you have presence in India, abroad. What's next? Where next? Where is it that you think you want to have a store for sure? You want to have a presence there?
First, I
I think for me, I'm still finding my footing within the business, but I do want to launch a brand of my own under the umbrella, but a brand of my own. And I am working on a different line of jewelry for that. With the amount of exposure that I've had, GI really exposed me to the international jewelry markets and all of that. So taking in all of that I have seen, I'm trying to work out something different. That is definitely something I want to do, along with being a part of where MSD has to go, and what we have in mind for MSD in future. Along with that, I would like to work on something of my own. I've been working.
That's fantastic, and we wish you all the best on that. Thank you so much.
Session, and how sportingly, how easily it all went about. It's wanting everyone to talk. We have the task of kind of putting the final conclusion to it. Not something enjoyable, but I think through the last 2 hours, what I really enjoyed and saw was it was a great fusion of tradition with modernity, with family values, with professionalism, art with engineering, uh, and brownie points with trading on thin ice, all of that. You know, it was all happening together. And while this fusion was taking place, the guiding star was to make sure that there is no confusion between money and integrity. I think this whole picture that was presented was fabulous, a very endearing conversation with all three of you in the same frame. Thank you so much for this experience. I think when we are talking of legacy, without saying a word about what you all demonstrated through the last so many minutes, is legacy is all about passing on, and the direction is not really fixed. Here we saw so many things that were just freely going around, and you were all working and talking like a well scripted thing, whereas the spontaneity and the energy was also so palpable. I think thanks for the great experience, and I think that's it. We are good to close today's session. Thank you.
It was a great experience. And we had a lot of fun interacting. It was also nice for all of us because we also didn't know how it, I know the story, but then to bring out the small instead to how it was back then, it was really nice. Thank you, Uraj, Shiv, and Manisha. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Sure.
I'll just add that this legacy of leadership is a fantastic initiative by GI. Because whenever I think I've hardly missed sessions on legacy of leadership. So I've watched most of the sessions and I learn a lot. And I'm able to get connected with people who I have not met earlier. So this initiative of GIA will go a long way because this is an experiential learning for everyone. This is not you're learning from books or you're learning from academics. So this is someone who was accomplished is sharing the experience, it's experiential learning. And this will go a long way in transforming even our thought process.